I'm very much tired of hearing about the slap. And what I would like to say about the slap is that that shit does not matter. It is not as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. I also think in the same way that I think about how like people like kind of stand over like rapper baby mamas, like this shit does not, this is a non-starter. You do not know these people. You do not know Will Smith. You do not know Chris Rock. You don't know what's going on. Like, just let it be. It's over. Like, who gives a shit anymore? I saw that. I was hoping it was an April Fool's joke, but I saw that like Will Smith resigned from the Academy. I feel like terrible for him to like for thinking to do that because it's stupid. I think for me, my whole thought process on like Will and how this happened, like I get like there's a perception of him and things like this, and like K-Dot has kind of said like he kind of relates to this part before, like where like people think because Will's like kind of a nice guy and like like he's jovial, happy. People think he won't whoop your ass. I remember when we talked about this. When me and K-Dot talked about this, when we talked about like will Will Smith have beaten Tupac's ass, and both of us were like, yes, he would have beaten Tupac's ass. Like Will Smith is 6'4", and he used to work out back in the 90s. Like Tupac is like 5'9". What the fuck are we talking about here? And like how like just the perception and like that stuff can kind of get to you, and like you just being the way that you are, but also being able to step into another realm. Like being able to like, I can beat your ass. I'm just a nice person. I can do this. I'm just a nice person. I think the perception has maybe gotten to Will a little bit. But I also think that people are kind of turning this into like Jada is terrible for him. And like, we don't know like what goes on behind closed doors. So I don't want to speak on that shit. I can't. You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Only they know. Like, we don't know if Jada's controlling him. We don't know if he's controlling her. What I know is that Will is taking a lot of lumps in the public in spite, for what I would say would be for Jada. He's shielded Jada. He has shielded Jada, and I think that's some real nigga shit. I think that's real. I applaud that. I think he's an authentic. I think he's strong. I think he's what you would like a father to be in terms of that. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, so I can't speak on it. But I wish people would realize, other people would realize, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors either. You don't know. You do not know. Just give it up. Stop guessing.
Leave that man alone.
Leave that man alone. Leave that man alone. Leave that family alone. People talk about how like, oh, they're always exposing us to their marriage. No, they're not. They haven't told you shit. They haven't told you shit about their marriage. They said that when they talked about the open relationship, Will said that's a very specific lifestyle. Didn't say they did it. Didn't say they didn't. Like, we don't know much information about the Smiths. All we know is that Jada has alopecia, and you should keep Will's wife's name out your motherfucking mouth.
I'd like to
Let me add something. Let me just add one point. Do you know who's going to be the next guest of the Red Table Talk? Will Smith.
I don't care.
Go ahead.
All right. Let me start by saying this. Hell of a final thought from Keem to start off by saying, I don't want to hear anybody else's thoughts, and then give us 5 minutes of his thoughts. Oh my goddamn situation. Which is what everybody's doing. Oh, I'm just sick and tired of everybody saying, but here's what I think. Fucking bullshit. It is literally the biggest story in the world. And it got every right to be. Will Smith's the biggest fucking star. Chris Rock is arguably the biggest comedian, if not, he might not be as big as Dave Chappelle right now. If you're looking at work, he is a top echelon, probably one of the greatest of all time comedians. Mm-hmm. And we saw an interaction between two celebrities. We saw an interaction between two people. They're damn near at the top of their peak. I've never seen a celebrity interaction on that level of stage ever. This thing is going to be talked about for the next fucking 40 years. It's one of those things that just happens. That being said, I do want to push back a little bit on what King was saying in the sense of they expose a lot of what is going on in their lives to us. The Red Table Talk, where you can see Will looks like he wants to fucking jump through a window. Where Jada's talking about the entanglement, and he's trying to get her to, no, Jada, what was it really? And you see her still staying in there. I'm sorry, that's what they brought to the public for us to then digest and talk about. Like James just said, the next guest on Red Table Talk is Will. They're going to talk about it again. Not to mention, Will Smith just dropped a book last year. And the first page of the book is what Keem said about how he's always been afraid to look like the coward. And if you look back in his childhood, which he brings to us in his book, is he saw the way his dad treated his mom. And he, from the time he was 8 years old, saw he holds so close to him that he blames himself for not stepping up when his dad was treating his mom that way, which is some deep-seated shit. So I understand when he wants to jump off and protect his wife at the fullest extent, because that goes to a core belief of what he is. But here's what I'll tell you, Will. Go to fucking therapy to work your shit out.
He's in therapy.
It's not working.
They literally just announced that the therapy that he's been going to has been the therapy about the couples thing and is not dealt with his childhood, which is now what he's hiring to deal with the shit that just came out. Once again, stuff that Will Smith and that fucking family have brought to us. And another thing that the two people involved here brought to us is Chris Rock, which is something that nobody's been talking about enough. Chris Rock has been extremely open about his struggles with depression, his struggles with the way that he's been physically assaulted and bullied throughout his life. Everybody hates Chris is about all the different ways in which people fucked his ass up over the years and the way it deals, the trauma in which he deals with. That shit that occurred to him is some deep-seated shit for him. Chris has been extremely open the last few years about how many hours he spent in therapy working on himself. And to have that shit happen to him and to be emasculated like that on TV in front of fucking everybody when he deals with some of the same complexes that Will does is an aspect of something just from a mental health standpoint that I feel for them. I feel for both of them. But under no circumstances whatsoever should anybody think it's okay, bottom line, to lay your hands on somebody if you didn't like what the fuck they said. And the fact is that is something that we're debating just goes to show you that motherfuckers out here in this fucking world are immature as fuck and are too irrational and want to take their own trauma and bullshit and lay it on everybody else instead of dealing with their own shit. That's how you fucking triumph over this stuff. And that's what the fuck the conversation should be, is the way in which we deal with our own traumas and baggage before we start laying it on fucking other people.
That's bullshit. I think that last part is bullshit.
Because
I think if you say something to somebody,
I know
you should have to deal with the repercussions.
Because here's the thing.
You talked. You're saying, okay, so it's not complete bullshit. I agree with, like, you should deal with, your own trauma and stuff like that. I'm not saying that part. I'm separating the dealing with the trauma from the actual physical act, right? You're combining the two. You're saying, I think that he slapped him because of, his.
I'm listening to his apology too. Remember Will's apology, which he talks about. The fact that he's dealing with shit that came out. Right.
Yes. Right. What I'm saying is, in any interaction, in any instance, if you can't hide behind comedy.
It's not hiding.
You can't hide behind comedy as like, oh, I was just joking, like, oh, okay, don't hit me because I'm like, I'm a professional, or like I make jokes, like it's okay, hiding. Like it's
it is.
You don't get to escalate it. It's words. You don't get to, because where's the line there?
You don't get to.
No, where's the line there? Where's the line there? Where's the line? Where's the line? Words are words.
No,
words are fucking words.
No,
that's wrong. You remember sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me?
That shit is dumb as hell.
No, this is that weak-minded shit. No, this is that weak-minded shit that everybody around here that wants a fucking participation trophy that thinks that they aren't allowed to feel offended about shit as they walk through this fucking world. No, here's your point. If you feel offended about something,
you just gotta feel me. If I decide you gotta feel me.
Yeah, understood. And here's what you do. You go to jail for assault, and the motherfucker that was able to say what he is protected by fucking freedom of speech.
Consequences.
Understood. But that's the point, is that one is wrong. You don't lay your hands on somebody because you didn't like what the fuck they said.
Both are wrong.
No,
both are wrong.
There are levels of this shit. I remember when I came up, if you smacked another man in his fucking face, be prepared to fucking die. Go to that level.
Right, and if you told another man to suck
here's
your
the thing,
dick,
if you want to keep it in the fucking lane. If somebody wants to have a joke, then guess what Will could have did? Will could have stayed in his fucking seat and said, hey, Chris, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. Will could have walked up on stage and grabbed the mic from Chris. Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. Will could have looked at Jade and said, baby, don't worry about that. I'm going to handle his ass right afterwards. And could have walked up to Chris and said, keep my fucking wife's name out of your fucking mouth. What he did not give him at all to do was to lay his hands on somebody. That's bullshit. He could have kept it in fucking words, and he would have got the same exact fucking point across. As a matter of fact, it might have even been more powerful if he said that shit from his seat. Because everybody else would have been like, God damn, Will ain't fucking playing. And Chris would have had to sit there in that same mode and figure out how he was going to handle it. The fact that he laid his hands on another man when you could have kept it at words is some fuck shit. It's the same way that you slap a motherfucker, you slap me in my motherfucking face, I'm going to shoot you. You know why? Because you escalated it. So what am I supposed to do? Keep it at that level now? If you took it to the next level? Fuck that shit. How many niggas do we know in jail right now because of a nigga moment where they took something that should have kept here and they escalated it? We got to stop with that fucking traumatic bullshit way of thinking and realize that there are levels of this shit and real consequences, which is what Will's experiencing right now, and the reason why he can't fucking apologize enough for his fuck shit. Doing what he did to usurp everything that Questlove was getting, and the fact that Will went from a fucking rapper to a TV star to the most bankable Hollywood star in the world to then an Academy Award-winning actor. An accomplishment nobody else on this planet has done. And we should have been awarding him. And we should have been right there to celebrate him. And you know what we're talking about? The fact that he thought it was within his right to stand up and lay his hands on another person. That's some fuck shit. You can keep it in the same fucking energy. If you want to be wittier than the motherfucking cracking jokes, you crack your own fucking jokes. It's the same way that when we were all fucking kids, when we were jumping on each other, you had that one bitch-ass motherfucker who couldn't take the joke, and then he wanted to fucking lay his hands on somebody. And what do we all think? That motherfucker just can't even take it. So what we did, we don't even fuck with that dude. Leave him the fuck alone. He doesn't need to be a part of this shit. But Will's the same dude that goes to every fucking talk show and got his own goddamn jokes. They got a highlight reel of Arsenio Hall of him making fun of everybody in the fucking band and their bald heads and all kinds of shit from way back when. I'm just saying, keep your fucking same energy. Don't get that escalated just because you feel all goddamn hurt in your goddamn feelings.
Okay.
So,
back to sports.
Did you guys know that Chris Rock has a nonverbal learning disorder?
Yep.
Where he can't pick up on social cues, and then also Will made it seem like like method acting, because what the movie got the award for, Venus and Serena's dad. And he's like, yeah, that's like, I'm protecting my family. And then the dad came out like the next day, was like, I wouldn't have done that. I was like, that shit was fun. This could be a 15 and out, maybe. I don't know.
But seriously, because it's the same. I was listening to Higher Learning with Van and Rachel. I don't know if you guys listen to it at all. And I know you don't love Van Lathan and everything it does. I don't either. But they were talking about that aspect of like the escalation for us. Because I know that like, from where I am, like, we always knew there were certain lanes in which you could keep shit and you could escalate it, right? Like, I don't know about you guys, but if you smack somebody in the face, like where I came from, that was one of the most disrespectful things you could do to another dude. And it meant that you escalate. So, like, if you brought it there, then you were like, all right, cool. I know what I'm doing when I bring it here. Somebody could die. We hear that. Like, was that the same for y'all? Or do y'all think it's like just this like gradual thing past words? Like, it just feels as though he crossed the line.
So I'm glad. I don't know if we want to. I don't mind this being posted if we end up posting it. But so I have a cousin, who's in jail for killing somebody, and it's something as simple as said the wrong thing to him, and this person is dead. But my cousin deals with mental health issues. I'm not going to compare the light of anything that might happen in street shit or hood shit to celebrity shit, right? I think those are two very different things. As far as me growing up, there are levels to everything, right? Like you can joke, but like you don't joke about, you know what I'm saying? At first, it's like when you're younger, it's like don't really talk about nobody mama. And it's like, all right, we got fat mama jokes. It's like, okay, if your mama not fat, you know what I'm saying? You can do it, but like, you know what I'm saying? But if mama fat, nigga might get mad at you. Nigga might get mad at you if mama actually fat. You might hit them. And then, you know, as you get older, it's like, okay, you can say shit about everybody, anybody, just don't say nothing about that person's children or that person's spouse, right? It became that. And those things kind of are in that same realm where it's like, I would say, don't say nothing about my children and don't say nothing about my spouse, in the same vein of don't tell me to suck your dick, or if you want to conflate it to a physical act, it will be the same as slapping somebody. Because if me and you are going at each other right now, K-Dot, and if you ever said something about Hendrix, I'm gonna let you know you're gonna have to feel me. Now, what you're talking about as far as the escalation of it, I agree with that. That's a problem. But see, it's the escalation of it post that. Like once you said something, now that's the initiation.
You think that's the escalation?
That's the initiation of it. Everybody should shut the fuck up then. Like, hey, just stay within your circles and joke about the people you know you could joke about, and don't talk about nobody else, or like be prepared to deal with the consequences. I think the escalation should stop once it's like, I think people need to be able to take an ass whooping. That's a thing. That's a thing in Macon, where I'm from. Like, yo, what I would say my folks, my family, my cousins, my friends don't like is when it escalates beyond like, oh, like you gonna jump somebody, or you got to shoot somebody. Like where I'm from, I respect the fade one-on-one. Just fade me. Either you gonna beat my ass, I'm gonna beat your ass, and after that we cool. Hey, cool. Everybody gonna go out about their day. You can go on about your day after an ass whooping. Right. You can't do that if you get shot. That's where the bitch ass niggas come in to me. Like, you got your ass beat, you can't fight. So you was like, bah, bah, bah. That's the bitch ass nigga to me.
I got it. So, but there's like, so to me, it's that like the way that I got brought up was that there's an element, and once again, from the celebrity standpoint, as far as these guys, a little different than what's happening on the Baltimore or DC street corner, right? But it's like, but to me, because even if we're looking at that, the joke itself, I didn't even think was offensive, but that's even beyond that. Because G.I. Jane 2, Demi Moore was fine as fuck in G.I. Jane 1, so I don't even understand what
she was in striptease. Oh. Right.
So I'm just like, what the fuck was that even? Like, it was literally just, it was almost like a Family Guy referential thing. It was like, hey, what about the time that it wasn't even anything that he wasn't disrespecting her at all, which just goes into the whole other thing. But it's like, to me, the way I was raised is that, like, you keep it on the same wavelength, right? So, like, even if you escalate, then you escalate, and I get to keep it where it is you keep the escalation to a certain degree. There's like if you talk about my mom, then we know, all right, we talk about each other's moms. Like, we're here, we're at this level, this is what it's going to be.
Yeah, once you introduce that, we're
here. And it might not be the same rules for John over here, right? So I ain't keeping it with John like that, because John can say, yo, don't do that. Like, I ain't with that. And I'm like, all right, man, my bad. Apologies. I ain't fucking with you that way. Me and James had it.
I think that's definitely a thing not brought up a lot. That's like because certain people are like, hey, don't do this. And you stop.
I'll never forget. In high school, my boy, white dude, every fucking time we saw each other, it was, goddamn, your mom needs to use less teeth next time she's sucking my dick. Like, every fucking day, we went ham. I came back to school after spring break, and I remember saying, man, your mom's availability was a little off over spring break, man. Like, I ain't getting my dick wet. Like, and he like chuckled, and he kind of was like, And I remember, but dude, not Neville, fucking Wendell. Wendell hits me. He's like, oh, what the fuck wrong with you? I'm like, what? You know, John died like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, what? But it was like, so I went to, I'm like, my bad, apologies, bro. He's like, nah, we used to joke about it. It's okay. Did it hurt today? Yes. maybe we don't make the mom jokes anymore. I was like, cool. It was like, that's where we kept it, because it was like, comedy. If you want comedy time, you want comedy time. Right? Like, if we're doing shit for jokes, we're doing shit for jokes. It's the same. Me and James had it on the podcast. But you had to tell me, you like, Julia's off limits. I don't want nothing about her, nothing about the Mexican shit, nothing about any of that. You keep that shit out. And what did I do? I said, understood. I just need the ground rules because we on comedy time. If you let me know that that's the case and that's where you're keeping it, I will respect that and we're cool. If I still say fuck you and I'm still in that energy, I can understand that, like, all right, it might need to get raised because you're straight up like disrespecting me on that level. But I don't understand, like, if you don't even know.
They said that they had that conversation before.
That's what the thing. They said that.
That's where the inferring shit. I'm literally just keeping it to shit that like what you were saying in the final thought. I'm keeping it to shit that they've exposed us to, that they've said themselves, right? I'm not taking any rumor mill or any. Can I understand that Will and Jada might feel a certain way after 2016 when Chris said his joke? Absolutely.
It wasn't even that bad, really, either.
But it was more of a race. That was a racial dynamic. It was worse.
I thought that was worse than the G.I. Jane shit.
It was worse.
Yeah,
I thought that was worse. It wasn't worse. Now, James, it wasn't a bad joke per se, but it was like
it was more offensive.
They trying to stand on something, bro. Like, what you you doing?
That felt a lot more skeevy than anything of that thing went. Like, it felt like it was almost like, Chris, you in front of the room with all the white people and you kind of taking this side.
You saw what he did when he was with Jerry Seinfeld and Ricky Gervais and
I'm on comedy time. And like, to me, comedy is the last bastion where I don't have time for any bullshit. We're the only thing that we're trying to get to in comedy is the absolute bluntest truth to make you feel uncomfortable and to make you laugh. And I don't think there's any lines or limits there. So I don't like race, all that shit. Like, I throw all that shit out. I'm from the Dave Chappelle school of fucking comedy when it comes to that aspect. I don't think this shit is off limits. Period, to me.
I think that maybe when I'm in a comedy show, but even then I think, all right, there's a level where you should not say something if it's like hurtful or some shit like that. Like, but Dave has never been hurtful. I love Dave. Dave's my favorite comedian. I loved him when I saw him in Chattanooga, all that good shit. But I think like it's just that thing where you can't control what the escalation is, right? Like, it's like what you're saying. I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. That's what Will should have did. But you can't control what the escalation is because you don't know where anybody is mentally. Words cut like swords.
But
like,
that's on that individual. But that's on the individual.
Hold on.
All right.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Like, it's on the individual. Like, if you're offended by something, you have to figure out how it is that you deal with your shit, right? When you got to control your emotions. You don't let your emotions control you. That's being an adult. Like, if a kid throws a temper tantrum when he wants to break shit and everything, that's a kid that doesn't understand how to control their emotions, right? And Ricky Gervais said something a couple days ago that I thought made the most sense about any of it, which was that, like, we need to stop calling jokes offensive. We need to say, if a joke is offensive to you, you should say, I'm offended by that joke. But to cast this aspersion that, like, there's a certain level of jokes that's just offensive, but you shouldn't go there. Well, I didn't find it offensive, but you might have found it offensive. And if you find it offensive, you've got to figure out how you need to navigate feeling offense about that thing.
I agree. But here's my thing. The point I'm trying to make is that, okay, I'm going to use a comic reference. I don't know if you've ever seen Daredevil season 2. Okay. All right. But Daredevil, they introduced Frank Castle, the Punisher. You know who both those characters are. Yeah. Frank tells Daredevil, the difference between me and you is a bad day. It's just a bad day. And I think that weighs a lot for me because it's like, again, like with my cousin, right? You might have, on one day, you might could joke with that man all day, all night about anything, right? But on that day, you could not. Right. You could not. And we don't know those days because we don't know people. We don't know what people are going through internally. Like, if I'm not close with you, like, I'm not gonna joke about, like you were talking about, your friend. Like, I'm not gonna joke about James' mom in a way where it's like, hey, yo, I don't know. James might have, had a conversation with his mom earlier today, and it might have been a tough thing. I don't know what he's going through. I'm not gonna talk about him in terms of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna joke about James's his teams. I know I can talk about them teams. I know I can do that. I can light his ass up all day about them teams. Hopefully, if I go too far, he'll be like, all right, King, like, you know what I'm saying? But you never know, because if you're not close with somebody, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what might trigger them. I'm not saying what Will did was right. I don't want to seem like that's what I'm saying. I think I respect the action. I don't think it was right. I respect the action in the terms of,
that's weird for me.
In terms of, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. I've had enough today.
Oh, you respect like being about the action, but you don't respect him doing it.
No. I don't understand how that. I don't understand how those two things work together. I think is my thing.
It's like, I'm about the action, boss. But
I mean,
he's
you
like,
could be, but my thing is like, I'm about men handling their shit like men, which is like, I think that there was
like
so
that
many
was some
ways
like
in
little
which,
boy shit.
That was my thing. It was like,
you could hold it.
Like
you can hold
the little boy in it.
I'm so angry right now, and it's like, dog. Adults take care of their emotions, and they figure the shit out. And I think that.
So we didn't.
But
I think
a lot of shit happens with us as far as black men, especially not dealing with our trauma and our bullshit, as far as what the red flags or the triggers are for us to set us the fuck off. Because we got a ton of them. We got a fucking ton, and we're justifiably so. We have a fuck ton of them. I just don't think that we've done enough work addressing them collectively.
And I don't think
laughed.
And I don't think that situation is such a different situation from what you like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like they're on a stage on a completely live event. In any other situation, you know what I'm saying? Calm down, you have a conversation, whatever. In my opinion, I agree with you. If it was me, I would have handled it differently. If like, okay, so like James talked about how he laughed, right? So he like, but Will has talked about how it's
an uncomfortable, awkward laugh. It was like, I don't think it was he thought the joke was funny. Yeah.
Right. And then so, okay, so if it was me, I would have waited. Like, all right, babe, we finna go to commercial break in a little bit. I'm gonna go talk to him. He shouldn't have said that. I would have went and talked to him and told him why that was hurtful. And like, hey, can you come out here and apologize to her, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially because they know each other.
Right.
They know each other. We've seen them in pictures. Chris Rock was on Fresh Prince, all that stuff. They know each other. They might not be friends, but they know each other.
All right, let me ask you this question.
Even if
somebody wronged you before, right? And then years go by, and then they do it again, are you going to be quick to say like, yeah, let me go talk to you?
No.
Well,
no.
Two things here. Two things on that. First, just to address that particular point, I literally do not think the G.I. Jane joke is a diss. Which is, if you're Chris Rock as a comedian,
but like, that's not up for us, though.
No, I get it. But if you're Chris Rock and if you sit at the front row of the Oscars, you know goddamn well you are cannon fodder for whoever's up on stage. That's kind of the point of what they do with the Oscars. Is like this self-congratulatory circle jerk that the Oscars are. They hire comedians to knock them back down to earth just a bit. You got some of them that can take the joke. Some like Sean Penn can't take a joke to save his goddamn life, but there are some other guys that can, right? And Chris usually a good sport, and they're all usually good sports. So you sit in the front row, you do it. I don't. If you're Chris and you look at that, even if you had the issue from 2016, I don't even see. I can even see from Chris's standpoint that he's complimenting her because the G.I. Jane, it's a terrible joke. It's a bad joke. Because
it's more about all right, so have you seen the clip where he's joking with other people leading up to that?
Yeah, the Penelope Cruz, Javier Bardem joke was weird.
He didn't joke about any of their facial features or looks or anything like that. Nothing like that. It was just, all type like Penelope, you better win. You better hope you lose.
Remember Penelope Cruz's name.
And then you get to Jada and it's about her physical appearance. That's another thing. It's kind of like what I talked about. It's like, all right, you got to keep certain shit in back. I think if he had to just say something completely different, you know what I'm saying?
What if he made an August Alsina joke with like Regina Hall and them did earlier?
I had another joke about that.
I don't think that would have upset them.
Really?
I don't think that would have. I think it would have.
They brought that out there.
I think that would have upset Will but I don't think it would have caused what that caused.
Yeah,
because like we talked about before, he's more sensitive about that stuff. More sensitive because he wants to be a protector.
So he would have cried if Chris made the August Alsina joke.
Nah, because if Will was that mad in March, how mad would he be in August?
I heard that joke. It's a great joke.
I know.
And that's why
That's a great one.
Chris Rock is still the MVP in this entire situation to me. Not one, he took that slap like a fucking man. And not like he barely and Will's, as we talked about, is a strong motherfucker. Then outside of that, you can see Chris wants to do the comedy thing. You can see him think about it. He's like, I got 15 jokes right fucking now for you. Like, I got, like,
he's like, you slap me, but why didn't you slap August?
Why didn't you slap August? Right? Or,
but you know what? We don't know if
your
he
wife's
didn't.
name out, like, you keep
we don't know
other dicks out of your wife's mouth. Like, it could have been so many things that Chris could have said, because we know Chris can do that, right? Mm-hmm. And he chose in that moment, I'm not going to. It's okay. I don't know a lot of comedians that wouldn't have doubled down, honestly. And that's why I give Chris a fuck. I think Chris has shown throughout all of this, and that's like what I was talking about in the final thought. Chris has done the work. Like, Chris is on record. Chris at one point was spending 7 hours per day in therapy. That's how fucked up he was. And he addressed it. Like, the thing is, like, he knows he's dealt with childhood trauma like a motherfucker. Even when he first got hired on SNL, there's a story about the first week he's in New York for SNL. Motherfuckers robbed him and stomped him out. Like, that's something he just deals with in so many different cases in his life. There's so many stories, like Van Lathan has a story about you seeing Chris Rock in LA at like 4 o'clock in the morning, kind of walking by himself. You could tell there's just shit on his mind. Like, you know that he's just deals with shit, but he's also going to therapy and he's addressing it. And Will, like, right now is finally saying, hey, I'm going to address my childhood trauma. And I think you saw the difference between a guy who's addressed their baggage and knows that there's a different way to deal with it compared to Will just right off the fucking gate. And I give credit to Chris for being that.
You would have hit him, Jay?
Huh?
You would have slapped him?
No.
But why don't he just stay in the seat? If he stayed in his seat and screamed, keep my fucking wife's name out of your mouth. I think we have, like, that discussion, I think, like, would it have been, I don't even think somebody could call it rude. I
actually don't think that would have worked, though. I don't think that would have, I'm trying to get into Will's head, and I'm thinking, because of the perception of him, like, it's just gonna look, he's just gonna catch more jokes.
And that to me is even weaker. Like, you're not even doing it for you. You're doing it because you are so worried about what other people think about you.
Yeah.
And that's some bitch shit. Like, that's some, like, come on, that's some straight bitch nigga shit. Like, that is, like, I care so much about what other people think about me.
You talked about Chris, like, showing restraint. If it was a different audience in a different room, he'd have let them shits fly.
I don't think so. I don't think.
Yeah. I agree. If
it wasn't a bunch of white people in that room, if it was like a regular comedy club,
it's going up.
Yeah. I don't think that. I don't think Chris. But you got to understand, Chris. Chris isn't that guy. He never has been that guy. He doesn't throw hands.
It's not about hands. I'm talking about jokes.
I think he's saying Chris would have kept with the jokes.
Oh, kept with the jokes.
He would have done the jokes.
Yeah. If it was a Source Award,
of course.
That's what I'm saying.
He's gone.
Yeah, but here's what Chris knows. Chris knows I'm up there to give an award to Questlove. I'm up here to give an award to Questlove. There's nothing like that's a huge moment. Summer of Soul was shit too. That was a great fucking movie. Y'all seen Summer of Soul, right? Y'all really it's fucking amazing. But there's like Questlove won an Oscar for directing a movie.
And as you talk about that and the importance of the moment, that just shows how immature Will is.
Right.
That he put his like insecurity over all that shit.
And that to me is where I have the issue with. Is like you were so short-sighted.
And he had time to think about it.
What's his name? The Will Packer is the first time we had an all-black production staff.
And he had time to think about it.
Will knows this. Then even if we're going to keep it a full buck, let's keep it a full buck. If Oscar's so white, why the fuck you there in the first place? Like, why don't we keep the same energy? Like, if it would, because look, even back when Oscar's so white, there were black nominees. They were just saying there weren't enough of them, so we're boycotting them shit. But now the Will's up for it. We're going to show up anyway. I don't know. There's a lot of bullshit shenanigans stuff. And look, I don't want to be the, like, blame Jada for everything thing. But Jada's fucking, she's so goddamn toxic. And you can just see it in the way that she just functions and it carries herself.
She need to smoke.
She always, but I think that's the look. I know too many Baltimore people. She just got that Baltimore one. You can't get it off of you. That Baltimore shit is too strong. It do not come off.
Yeah, but I hated how the fallout of this is gone too. Like Will resigning from the academy and all that shit, and all these people having all this commentary. But I was like, where the fuck was this when Harvey Weinstein was doing what he did?
That was my thing. That was my biggest thing. That's why I said what I said in the final thought. Because it's like, bro, Judd Apatow was like, he could have killed him. Motherfucker. What are we talking about?
That was ridiculous.
What are we talking about?
I'm tired of all this commentary, fam. Like,
white people need to take a step
back.
Like
Roman Polanski got, bro, like Harvey, like Woody Allen.
Hold on. The only thing about that you got to get pushed back to, the Oscars has been problematic, but they have been doing a lot to rectify that, which is why Roman Polanski is banned. Fucking Harvey Weinstein is banned. There's a lot of people that are banned now that didn't.
Do they still have all their Oscars?
Nobody's asking Will to give up the Oscars.
They don't really push their shit.
They were.
No. No one's asking. No one's asking. No, it wasn't. They wanted him to leave. They was never ever on the table to take the Oscar away from Will. Ever. That was not an option. It wasn't an option. Whether or not he would be there to accept the award, which I think if they were really thinking, like if they asked him to leave, if he did leave, I think having Chris Rock accept the award would have been amazing. But beyond that, like if they've addressed those things. Look, the Oscars have been problematic shit. They've been working really hard to rectify that. All those guys are banned now. Like we want to talk about white people claiming all this violence and shit. Do we not forget what the fuck John Wayne did? Way back in the when Marlon Brando won an Academy Award, and he let a Native American woman accept the award because she wanted to talk about the way that Native Americans were being portrayed in movies and how it needed to be different. John Wayne had to be restrained because he was going to go up on stage and whoop her ass. That was a thing that happened at the Oscars. Then the moment that she got off of there, Clint Eastwood goes up on stage, and then what did he say? He says, I don't even know if I should be up here without speaking about all the cowboys that have lost their lives to all the Indians scalping. It was like, dude, what? It's problematic.
Clint has been MAGA.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows Clint is very MAGA.
Clint is Gran Torino. The character you saw in
Gran Torino. Good movie, too. Good movie. Right.
He was just playing himself. So it's like, and yet he has done a lot of he has done over the history. He's done some woke shit, but usually he's not on the right side of that stuff. Clint is just problematic in all so many different ways. He's just the old curmudgeon white guy. So that, like Judd Apatow, that's why he deleted the tweet over the side. But I be the same. That same white energy is the same way I feel about Jada and Will. It was very Karen. And I heard Andrew Schultz say this. It was very Karen of Will and Jada. I'm offended by that joke, and I'm going to do something about it right now. Where the fuck's your manager? No, man, I'm going to smack you in the face. It felt very white woman, okay? Sit there and take the fucking joke like we all know we're capable of doing. Or if you got a problem with it, go handle your shit. That's how I knew real motherfuckers deal with shit. Not doing that. It was a fucking temper.
Because, like, if you really wanted to put your hands on him, you would say, all right, I'm going to wait until we have some alone time, and we can go in the closet and have 5 minutes and get this shit over with.
I think that's the perception of the event is completely different if we hear that he smacked him backstage.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, oh, Will finally, yeah. My energy is the same if he did it on stage. But I'm just saying if Will had waited and was like, when he was back and we just heard like, oh, multiple reports are saying Chris Rock and Will had to be separated and backstage, and Chris Rock got slapped by Will and he didn't do anything and they were backstage, and everybody, the perception is completely different. Everybody's like, man, good for you, Will. Like, oh man.
I think it's totally different. I think depending on how it goes down, like there's a difference. If Will just goes backstage with the intention of I'm gonna smack Chris Rock, which I don't even think it was Will's intention to smack Chris Rock as he was walking up. I don't think he knew what the fuck he wanted to do. He just wanted
Chris Rock said he leaned in.
Yeah, I don't think he did either.
I think it was unplanned. He just rage, right? So like, I'm going up there to do something. I don't know what it is yet. If he goes backstage with the intention, I'm just going to smack Chris Rock, I think the story is Will Smith leaves the Academy Award in handcuffs. And the story is Will Smith assaulted Chris Rock backstage at the Grammys. It's not the slap part of it doesn't come out for a couple weeks when we're trying to do the digging as far as what it is that happened in the police report.
That is how the news cycle works.
Assaulted
but once that
Chris
part
Rock.
Comes out,
they were like, "Oh, Chris, you pressed charges now." Like, there's that happens, right? Like, if we get there, but if Will goes with the energy of, I need to go talk to this man. I don't think Chris Rock doubles down. I think Chris Rock immediately says, "Whoa, sorry, I did not know she was going through that. My apologies, man. Dude, where's Jada? I'd like to go apologize to her myself." Dead. And it's over. And like that's what I think happens. I don't see a scenario in which Will goes do that and Chris is like, "Hey, fuck you. And fuck your bald head ass wife." Like, I don't see that happening.
But I mean, if you don't pick up on the social cues, you don't know.
What did you say, James?
Like, you remember he said he had issues with picking up on social cues because of the disorder.
You have to verbally tell him, which is what his thing is. So if Will had verbally told him,
okay,
keep my wife's name out of your mouth, then he would have been like, "Oh wow, I didn't know it was that serious." Totally, gotcha, understood.
My bad. Yeah.
Which is
one could also argue that because he doesn't pick up well on social cues, slapping him will get the message across better.
That's
so
right.
Now he has learned his lesson.
It's non-verbal cues. Non-verbal cues. A smack still leaves him confused. It's just non-verbal.
He did look confused.
He looked befuddled. He was befuddled.
How the fuck do you process that as a human being? I'm introducing an Oscar for the best documentary
because he was
Will
struggling.
Smith just smacked me on international TV. How do you process that?
I'd have tripped him.
I think majority of us would have fumbled. I think all of us have the same initial reaction, which is,
hey, look, you remember how you like trip your friend that's walking in front of you? I'd have tripped his ass as soon as he tried to walk down the stage.
I think I would have, like, as he's walking away with that fucking strut, I would have ran and tackled his ass.
Trying to fix his suit, I'd have tripped the shit out of him. He fall flat on his face.
Now, if I'm being completely honest, I know what I would have cracked another joke. I would have absolutely cracked another joke. Like, I don't have the same. You see me here on this podcast. I would have absolutely cracked another joke. I wouldn't have been able to contain myself. Would I probably got my ass kicked by Will Smith up and down that stage? Yeah, but I would have been talking the entire fucking time.
No. All right. So now I have another question. Where the fuck was the security?
So
that's what I was wondering.
That to me is the other interesting part of this, and this is the racial dynamic thing to me. If that's Ricky Gervais that gets smacked, are they waiting to hear whether or not Ricky wants to press charges? They're dragging Will Smith's ass out of that spot. Period.
Yes.
And so that to me was the only thing that felt weird to me, was that because it was a black man smacking another black man, it was sort of like, okay. But then if Ricky Gervais is the only one that I actually think would have said a joke along those lines, he probably would have been a lot harsher. That's the only one I'm like, and I don't know if Will even does it.
You know, which is a thing in itself, but
like, do I think Dave Chappelle could kick Will's ass? Yeah, but I also don't think Dave Chappelle makes that joke.
I don't
think so.
I don't. I think it'd be a good fight, though. I think it'd be a good fight. I just don't think. I think Will's a little bit stronger. They're closer in height, but Dave, you can tell Dave still works out. Like, it's
Dave got him on weight.
Yeah.
Wait, did y'all watch the documentary?
What
so you referenced the book, right?
Yeah.
But he also did a documentary.
So about the YouTube videos?
Yeah, leading up to the book.
Mm-hmm.
Like where he had to lose a certain amount of pounds and like all that shit. So he has been working out.
But did you hear about like how he like ended that documentary?
Yeah. I watched it.
I didn't watch it, bro.
Like he gave up.
He got like I didn't watch it. I didn't watch
but he
it.
Came back though. He came back.
He got pissed apparently at like the shit that was going on. Like he got pissed at like the production crew, from what I heard, and like
he was upset. And then like you remember how you referenced his dad? They had a like an old interview of his dad, and like that was deep. And like he had his mom there, and then like he's telling his family for the first time like all this shit, and you were like, you saw like Chris Rock like dealt with his baggage, and you got Will, And I was like, with Will, he was just hiding his shit the whole time.
Have either of y'all done therapy?
Not yet. I'm going.
Yes, like kind of.
What does that mean? If you don't want to get into detail, you don't have to.
Not in person.
So, okay. So you've been like the Zoom stuff.
Yeah.
It's what we're doing.
That's still therapy.
It's still therapy. So like I've been with therapy for fucking years now, right? And it's the one thing I think every human being needs to do. And I know that some people, that's just my thought. Everybody, and especially Black people, we fucking need it. There's not one of us that has not experienced trauma on a level of which would make most white people's fucking heads spin. We've gone through. I know my life. Look, I told you guys even on the pod, I'm taking antidepressants. I might not even want to go see my girlfriend because I want to break up with her right now, just because I'm being manic at this particular point in stage in my life this week.
Cut this part out.
All over the place. I don't give it. I'm not about cut it out. I'm cool with being open because I've done the work. So like the same thing that Will. Here's the problem with Will and Jada. They're being open about things that are easy triggers for them, and yet they don't even know how to address the triggers yet. There's a difference there. I'm going to give you the ammunition to hurt me, and I've never done the homework to figure out how to deal with it. Compared to
and
Chris
I'll be mad when you use it.
You see what I'm saying? And while Chris is like, hey, I can now come to you with this because I finally learned how to deal with it. So here's my truth. You can talk about it all you want to, because I'm speaking. That's where I'm at. I can tell you what's going on with me because you can make fun of me all you want to. I still know that all it has to do with is up here, and I've got to work through me on that. So hurt me however you want to. I'm going to live my truth. So like, there's
rabbit.
Yeah, I'll say two things to that. One, I think when both of you watch the Carmichael special, just let me know what you think. Like because this like entire conversation just kind of encapsulates some of the stuff that he discusses in the special. Like this special, just so you know, I think it's better if you know going into it. Like I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's more like Dave Chappelle's when he sat down, the Netflix special where he sat down and kind of told the iceberg slim story.
No.
It's more like an intimate version of that, but for Gerard himself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to spoil anything, like I said, but it's more like
where's it at?
Netflix, right? And then
HBO Max. HBO Max.
Because Bo Burnham directed it, which is crazy.
Yeah, and it's it's a good special. I might go watch it again actually.
I might check that.
But okay, I want to say that, and then two, earlier I think I misspoke when I said I respected the slap. What I mean to say is I understand it, right?
Yeah,
and I think that
I
think that in situations like these and other situations, a lot of people need empathy, right? And so I think both parties require empathy in that moment. And what I want to happen is what K-Dot is talking about. Like, I do think he should go to therapy. I want him to grow, become a better person, and all of that stuff. And I also want people to understand when they're talking about this person that he is still, I'm gonna go back to what Dave Chappelle said, he's still having a human experience. Like we just sat around and we just talked about how, we can see the little boy in him. He needs to go to therapy, but we're also about like talking shit about him. And I think that's where it's wrong. It's like, hey, okay, like you did that, you fucked up, you need to get help. Like you need to focus on yourself and not, so you won't have to be like this, because we shouldn't be having this discussion. You need some help. I want to express empathy and grace in that knowing that, Will, you need help. I hope you get help, and I hope you can learn and grow from your situation. And I want to also extend my respect to Chris Rock, because of what K-Dot said. He stood tall in that moment. He could have. I saw him like kind of do like a little reach back, like I can punch you back right now. I saw that, and I also saw him do the like what James was talking about, where like, he did the I could I'm gonna hold it down.
I got one.
And present this award and not escalate this situation. He hasn't said anything, much. But I know he's benefited from it financially because his ticket sales are through the roof. Like I heard he got a standing ovation at his first show in Boston on Wednesday, which is great, good for him. But I just want to extend my respect to him and my grace and empathy for both of them. I just hope we can move past it and grow from it.
I want the exact same thing. I will say this. It was the most human moment I've ever seen Will Smith have. Because it always feels as though
that's what his mom said.
He's the most calculated. Look, to be Will Smith is to be the most likable black man in America at any given point in fucking time. And that's a lot of fucking weight, okay? It's just weight that she shouldn't have to carry.
Did you see what his mom said?
No, I haven't.
She was like, I finally saw Will, but she was like, it was him. He was being himself.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
Yeah, a
watch
flawed man.
Watch the documentary.
A flawed man that needs his help. I would say the only thing that made me, at least right now, where I know, well, I got to do it for me, but the moment that I was like, hey, fuck you for a moment with Will, is like, I'm seeing when he did the apology in the speech, that to me felt calculated, and that to me felt like you want some fuck shit. Going out of your way not to apologize for Chris, because you're still in that mind frame. To then bring up Richard Williams, when you saw they got away from that shit mad quick. It's like, don't fucking compare anything that I've never physically assaulted anybody. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I wouldn't have done that.
Right, I would have not. Hell no. You can see Serena kind of shake her head. It's like, what? You ain't got to use us. Even Denzel did the no react. You really had dropped my line. I mean, it's a good line, but you really had dropped my line right now. Like, come on, Duck.
He's yelling during his speech.
But Denzel?
Something. I think he said I love you or some shit. While Will was giving the speech. If you watch it.
If you listen to Kimmel, during the La La Land Moonlight thing, apparently Denzel was yelling at Kimmel what to do, and he helped Kimmel throughout that entire thing.
Yeah, I saw him. I heard him talk about that.
So Denzel's turned into the city Portier of this generation of Oscar. Cool. I'm with it. Especially if you haven't seen Denzel on Desus and Mera a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I gotta watch it.
It is Desus and Mera, the best interviewers we got going. Maybe Howard Stern might be a little better. I think he's more seasoned, and I think he's gotten actually worse over the last couple of years. But Desus and Mera got a way of breaking anybody to just come to say his Denzel thing was amazing.
And Drink Champs.
Yeah, if Nori can just stop being
if
Nori.
Nori just shut the fuck up at the right time, man.
Right. It would be amazing.
Bro,
Nori,
he be getting some good shit, and then he
have it up one more time.
Like, shut up, Nori. Damn.
They need somebody to mute Nori every once in a while. Just like,
yes. They should do Drink. If they did Drink Champs over Zoom and had the DJ control the mute button, we might get the best shit ever.
It might be. Yeah, that might be. But look, I'm wishing that this is that. I'm willing to. The thing that I think troubled me the most about this, and I think there was even a point when after the initial thing in our text thread, I turned to my girlfriend. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do the podcast with these motherfuckers anymore. Like, the takes that you guys had initially, or at least Ryan, like Team Will, pissed me off. And the reason it pissed me off, at least initially, was I just think that there are certain things that we have to, as a society, it gets depressing sometimes when you think as a society that we should all be on the same page about certain things, and that we're not. And it's like, it's not that I'm right and somebody else is wrong. It's just, I didn't realize there was a chasm so big. After this conversation, I don't think the chasm's that big. But the conversation I'm hearing from other people is like, oh no, I'm proud of Will for what he did. Or that it was the right thing for Will to do. Or the women that say, I want my man to do what Will did in that moment. I'm sorry, but that's some fucked up shit. And I'm just like, are my fundamentals that different than everybody else's? Did I wake up on a different planet? Like, it hurt me to my core that it was thought of that you could do that and it would be a justifiable thing to do. Like you said, Keem, can I understand it? Yes. I'm beige and I suffer from rage as well. I've definitely been there. I have beige raged the fuck out. I've had my moments where I've done shit and I'm like, wow, shouldn't did that. I saw red. I need to get back right then and there. I understand. But you learn from those things to not do them again. And I would hate for anybody to look back at those transgressions that I've had and make excuses for them. They excuse me.
But see, and that's where I'm like, I understand the traumatic response. And it's like, okay, that's a traumatic response, but I'm not going to crucify you in that moment because I understand it. Because I know where that's coming from, right? because I can have empathy and say, like, it's the same way. I'm not going to get into that too deep. I know people who don't want to be touched physically, for whatever reasons, right? And it's a situation where it's like, oh, you tell me why you don't like to be touched. I understand that. Okay, that makes sense. Some people are. So there was a situation where I know a person who didn't like to be touched, like, physically, and there was another girl, and like she like hugged her randomly, and the person is like, who doesn't like to be touched, is like looking like this and like, like get off of me, like kind of like not a full push, but like okay, we're get away from me. I can understand that. I know the genesis of it, and it's okay. It's okay. You're having a human experience. I get it. I get it. It's all right. Everything's gonna be okay.
See, the only thing I'd say, be careful with the language. This is my only thing, is like the language fucks me up. It's like, I can understand it. Don't say it's okay. Just say I understand. Like it's hey man, whoa, I get it, totally understand. You know, you should go to therapy for that.
Well, no, not it's okay as in okay.
Sometimes
so
if you throw a pebble, somebody will drop a nuke.
But it's going to be all good. It's going to be
right. Hey, look, I know you had that. That's a traumatic response you just had to that. I respect it. I understand where you're coming from. You know, there's another way to deal with that, right? You know, there's some ways that you can start tackling that stuff here on your own. It's not going to solve it, but it'll make you understand at least yourself even more, so you can do something better the next time. Like that. Those are the conversations that I just think that we have
Some people aren't ready for those though.
But here's my thing, is that I don't think the rest of the world should dictate that those motherfuckers ain't ready for it. We're adults. Like, there's a certain... the same thing I say is, like, your parents have fucked us up. Your parents, all of our parents have fucked us up to some certain extent of our lives. All of us. Good, bad, whatever.
Yeah.
When you hit a certain age, you can't keep fucking blaming your parents for the shit that you're doing out there in the world. You got to take responsibility for your shit. And like, that's my thing, is that like, we don't challenge each other to do that. And I don't understand the whole, like, it's the same way that people talk about like participation trophies and like criticizing even America, where they say, if you criticize America, you don't love America. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't I criticize helpfully the things that I want to see succeed, or the things that I love because I want it to be better. Like, there's a way to be better. I don't want to accept this is where it is and there needs to be no growth here. That's not love. That's you making excuses for shit. That's you settling for what's here and right now. And I think we can all achieve
because
or do
it works
better.
for them.
And that's my thing, is like, majority of people that do that, I'm like, when you start seeing, when I'm on Twitter, I'm looking at all those responses, I'm like, man, there are a lot of motherfuckers out here in this world that do not deal with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
The discourse that will say, this is my last point about it, but the discourse that upset me, because what K-Dot just talked about, that stuff upset me too. Some of that, like my man should do that. Oh, he got to go up for me and all that shit. Like that upset me too. But the discourse that upset me the most was the what's his name? I'm not gonna think of his name. I can't think of his name. Fuck. What's the black guy that I hate on ESPN? The African guy. He's not African. I want to say Nigerian. He's Nigerian.
Acho?
It was the Acho discourse, which is the looking for the white acceptance discourse. It's the oh guys, we can't be like this on a stage in front of these people. Now we're condemning to our stereotypes. We're conforming to stereotypes, and we're doing this. And it was the black people and the white people that were having that conversation, and it's just, that made me feel real nasty. That was real nasty. Don't be a nigga like that. That is stupid as hell. Kareem, you're older. I'm not even talking about you, baby. Like, hey, we get it, baby. You know what I'm saying? I understand the area you coming from, and that was a thing in your era. So I'm not talking to Kareem. I'm talking to people under 40. I'm talking to people under 40, under 45, under 50, under 52. Like, bro, like, that is not a thing. We're not doing that anymore. Like, if you don't understand the problem with the stereotypes, if you don't understand the problem with the stereotypes, and you can't make that statement because you don't understand the problem. But man, it really upset me. Like, I was like,
they're making us look bad, group. Fuck you. Like, I hate that old contingent motherfucker. Because once again, put this out there. It's all violence. You call the police, you're only using the threat of violence So I just told you the John Wayne story. Don't think that it's us looking any sort of white people do the same. It's just people. I don't need that. The only thing that I look at from a black man perspective is that I see two black men that have suffered and have hurt, and I want to reach out to them as my black brothers in the sense of this is how we can do things better, but not as some representation of everyone in the race. That's some fuck ass shit. That's some fuck ass shit. And motherfuckers looking for acceptance from white people in that way, man. Fuck off. Fuck the fuck off. All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck Marlon Brando.
That was a nice unequal opinion.
Whoa. Fuck Marlon Brando?
Yeah.
Why?
He shoved a stick of butter up a woman's pussy for a movie. He sexually assaulted a woman.
Was it in the script?
No. It was a rape scene. So it was a rape scene. It was supposed to be like for a movie, but you know how the actors got to do their method thing and got to make it real and authentic. So he decided to stick a stick of butter up the woman's vagina without her knowing to simulate what the rape would be like.
Yeah, that did happen.
But Marlon Brando slept with a lot of people, women and men. He's a legend for that. Great actor.
Greatest.
There's a lot of kids.
All right.
He was fucking. He fucked 80% of Hollywood when he was out, and 80% of the R&B singers and the pop singers. Like he was fucking. Like he's fucked Marvin Gaye, Richard Pryor. Like, oh, this is not new information to you, James. This is not. Quincy came out and told us.
Yeah, that's what that's it. Have you heard the Quincy interviews?
Yeah, but I didn't know that. All right, cool.
Yeah, Quincy was just.
He fucked Quincy too, probably. I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by it. All right, I'm gonna run. I'm. Oh shit! I think I missed the whole birthday party. All right, guys.
Well, that's a great unequal opinions.
Yeah,
I think it'll be unequal opinions, thoughts about the will thing, and just kind of throw it up.
We can change it though. In terms of like just like our thoughts on like public pressure or something, whatever. You get what I'm saying?
I'm gonna put Will in it. I'm gonna use their trauma.
We got to use the name to get the
right.
to get the.
If you want Red Table Talk, I don't feel bad about it.
Blue Table Talk, nah.
No. All right.
not Blizzard Grip.
Oh, also
Black Table Talk. How about that? I think
you should intro it with our final thoughts.
Okay.
True.
That should be like the cold open.
Okay.
Because he ranted for like 45 seconds.
It was longer than that.
Oh, true.
Yeah, probably. All right, Jets.
He was mad.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
Bye-bye.